What a beautiful day. I have long been fascinated with Bowling's old harbour. And I think anybody that's been on a train between Glasgow and Balloch or Helensburgh will probably feel the same, because the railway line passes right beside on the coast here, at the side of the River Clyde, or the Firth of Clyde. It's very wide at this point, and I'm sure it starts to become the Firth of Clyde round about here. And you just can't fail to notice all the wrecks of boats and ships in the old harbour behind me. And especially if you're lucky enough to pass at low tide. Low tide was about 5:30 this morning. And probably the tide has come up a bit since then, because 5:30 was obviously too early for me. You can still see some of the wrecks there. And there is apparently something like 14 boat or shipwrecks in the harbour. And it's been suggested that maybe it was a kind of breaking yard at one time, you know, where the boats were taken when the life was over, to be broken up and perhaps reused for something else. And it's also said that of the 14 boats, they are probably all 20th century. I have some doubts about that. There's a mixture of iron vessels and wooden vessels. You can see what looks like wooden ribs of old boats kind of peeking up from the water. I think some of them are probably dating to the 19th century. It's just a guess, I don't really know. The Scottish Canals Authority, or whatever they're called these days, have made tremendous improvements in Bowling Harbour. That's the old harbour. The sort of newer harbour is just sort of there, still got modern boats in it. And it really is worth a visit. You can have a daunder around, and they've got information panels. It really is very nice. It's a place you would just really want to come. The harbour was apparently built around about the very beginning of the 19th century, 1810 or thereabouts, and it coincided with the opening of the Forth Clyde Canal, which ends here at Bowling and was completed around 1790. And the harbour was just intended to be a place for vessels that were either intending to go into the canal or those that were leaving the canal to sort of hang about for a while and get themselves together, maybe stock up on things, have a wee rest and sort themselves out before they actually entered the canal, or, as I say, left the canal. You've got the Customs House sitting there as well, and I think that was involved in collecting money from those who were wanting to use the canal, or something like that. There's information panels that'll probably give you much more information than I can, because I'm just having a wee donder just now, and I'm probably not going to say a great deal after this opening spiel. I just want to allow the scenery to speak for itself. I may say a few words towards the end, but I highly recommend that you come down to Bowling Harbour and hang out for a while. Probably better during the week. It's quite busy at weekends because it is very popular. There is a cafe, but as I say, at weekends the cafe is very busy. Could do with 2 cafes. So come during the week and immerse yourselves in a little bit of watery adventures. when it's as nice as this, you just want to sort of spend a lot of time sighing aloud. It's beautiful. So, you know, that was bowling. As I say, there's plenty of information panels that'll give you information, tell you a bit of history about the place. You may have noticed some of the footage, you may have seen the train, and as I said in the opening spiel, the train line passes right along the coast here, and it's actually a pretty stunning train journey on its own, irrespective of where it's going, Balloch or Helensburgh or wherever. Just lovely views of this part of the River Clyde and the Firth of Clyde. And I mean, I think for people who use the train a lot, I think we've all got our own stories and incidents that we can remember in connection with train journeys. Some good, some not so good. I'll tell you one just now, just by way of a sort of aside, something to kind of perhaps bring a smirk to your face, because we've all been going through a pretty horrendous time at the moment. If it's not the cost of electricity or COVID or I mean, the people of Ukraine are just going through hells now. It's not their fault. It's just unbelievable how that's gone. Russia, I mean, I think Putin has completely lost the plot. From an electricity point of view, you know, the price of energy's gone up. I seem to be kind of battling with my energy supplier at the moment, because obviously we're all getting told that come April, price of energy is going to rocket. I've been informed of this by my energy supplier. I don't actually use much electricity. But what's annoyed me is that the standing charge has doubled in price. And for somebody who doesn't use a lot of electricity, a doubling in the price of the standing charge is significant. You know, and I don't see why the standing charge, the daily amount, is increasing or doubling. You know, the infrastructure for supplying electricity to my property is the same. It's the same box in the cupboard in the hall. It's the same substation, same junction box. The whole infrastructure is the same. There's no increase in price there. It's only the cost of electricity and energy that has increased. And I can understand why the unit price for the electricity that you use is going to go up as a consequence of this energy increase. In my opinion, the daily standing charge, it shouldn't be increasing because the infrastructure hasn't changed in any way. And I think the energy companies are milking this. I really do. And it annoys the heck out of me. But to get back to something that might cheer you up, I remember a train journey. I was travelling from Stirling to Harbour. I was working in a call centre. It was decades ago. And in order to get to the call centre in time, I would get the first train in the morning, which was very early. We're talking 6 o'clock in the morning, if not before. It was the first train out. And I'm on this train and we're approaching Harbour. I got up, I stood beside the exit door. The train stopped and the light came on to indicate, you know, you could press a button for the door to open. And in the time that it took me just for me to lift my arm and reach out to press the button, the light went off and the train started moving away. I was like, what the heck's going on? And I pulled the emergency pull button to stop the train. And of course the question you would ask yourself is, was that the right thing to do? Because of course the guard and the driver came to see what was going on. And at the end of the day, you know, whoever was responsible for controlling the door mechanism and that little button to open the door, I suspect it was the guard, was probably half asleep, because he only allowed that button to be on for a couple of seconds, you know. So he was at fault, and I'm quite happy in saying that I did the right thing there. So hopefully that's brought a smile to your face. Maybe it hasn't. I'm Eddie Burns. Bye for now. Actually, it's just dawned on me that that wasn't quite the funny railway story that I thought it was going to be. This is the funny railway story. And well, all of the stories, you know, about incidents on trains. This one was, I can't remember where it was, at a kind of local train in the Greater Glasgow area. I think coming back to Glasgow, there was 3 young lads who were standing at the kind of the exit, the door of the train, and one of them was kind of swinging on an overhead bar or something. They weren't up to no good, they were just having a bit of a kind of, just messing around in the way that stupid young boys do. And as he was swinging on it, it came away, partially. One end of it sort of came down. And they got a bit of a fright and they sort of exited the area. So, it wasn't them. But the bit that had come down was kind of partially in the way of the exit, just a wee bit, you know. But I thought I'd better maybe tell somebody here, you know. Not that I was going to say 3 young boys broke that there. I was just going to say there's a bit of the train, bit of the thing hanging down, you know. And I kind of went through some of the carriages and I found the ticket inspector, or the ticket seller, or whatever it is they do these days. And I said to her, excuse me, there's a bit of the thing over the door of the train that's come off a wee bit, and it's hanging down, it's sort of in the way a wee bit, you know. And her reply was, have you got a ticket? Which surprised me a wee bit, you know. I thought, oh yeah, I've got a ticket. And I thought to myself, this is maybe some kind of common ruse used by people trying to avoid paying for tickets. Well, it's some sort of diversionary tactics or something, whereby when the ticket inspector comes round, somebody will say, Mrs, there's a bit hanging off your train there. Or something like that. To draw our attention away from the fact that you don't have a ticket. There's a bit of your train hanging off. But that, you know, she must be kind of hardened to that ruse. And as soon as you say something like that, she instantly says, right, where's your ticket? All the best, guys. As time she flows away, where she goes, you can say, to a place of no return. It's a one-way ticket